Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel, where we explore the fascinating corners of biblical and religious history. Today, we're diving into a topic that sounds a bit mysterious, but is incredibly intriguing: the Pseudepigrapha. What are these ancient texts, and why aren't they in our modern Bibles? Let's find out together. First off, let's break down that word, pseudepigrapha. It's a Greek term that literally means falsely attributed, or writings with a false superscription. Basically, these are ancient Jewish religious works that were written between roughly 200 BC and 200 AD. The authors often wrote under the names of famous biblical figures like Enoch, Abraham, or Moses. This wasn't necessarily to deceive people, but rather to lend authority to their message and connect their ideas to the revered figures of Israel's past. So, what kind of books are we talking about? The Pseudepigrapha is a huge, diverse collection. It includes apocalypses, testaments, expansions of biblical stories, wisdom literature, and even psalms. You've got texts that predict the future, others that offer moral advice, and some that fill in the gaps of stories you already know from the Old Testament. For example, have you ever wondered what happened to Enoch, the man who walked with God and was no more? The Book of Enoch, one of the most famous pseudepigraphal works, tells his story in incredible detail, describing his journeys through the heavens and the secrets of the universe revealed to him by angels. Another fascinating example is the Book of Jubilees. This book retells the stories from Genesis and Exodus, but organizes them into a calendar of 49-year periods, or Jubilees. It adds a lot of details not found in the biblical text, including stories about angels interacting with patriarchs and a strict emphasis on following a specific solar calendar for religious festivals. These books give us an amazing window into the beliefs and concerns of Jewish people during the Second Temple period. They were wrestling with big questions about evil, justice, the afterlife, and the coming of the Messiah. The Pseudepigrapha shows the vibrant and diverse theological landscape of that time. Now, for the big question: why aren't these books in the Bible? The simple answer is that the early Jewish and Christian communities who were forming the biblical canon, the official list of inspired scriptures, did not ultimately accept them as divinely authoritative in the same way as the books of the Old and New Testaments. While many of these writings were widely read and respected, and even quoted by New Testament authors like Jude, they weren't considered to have the same level of sacred status. Different groups had different opinions, but over time, a consensus formed around the books we now have in our Bibles. But just because they're not in the Bible doesn't mean they're not important. Scholars study the Pseudepigrapha to understand the historical and theological bridge between the Old and New Testaments. These texts show us the world that Jesus and the apostles lived in. Many ideas that became central to Christian thought, like detailed angelology, demonology, and specific concepts of the final judgment and the afterlife, were developed and popularized in these very writings. They are an invaluable treasure trove for understanding the roots of both modern Judaism and Christianity. So, the Pseudepigrapha might have false names, but they contain genuine insights into a pivotal era of religious history. They show us that the conversation with God and the exploration of faith has always been a rich, complex, and deeply human journey. What do you think? Have you ever heard of the Book of Enoch or other pseudepigraphal texts? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into ancient writings, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you next time.